Good evening, Niner fans. What is going on? As we know, the 49ers are off this week, but there's a lot of news going on. We're going to recap everything today. There's news that just came out like 10 minutes before I went live with Clint Kubiak, the 49ers passing game coordinator. Armstead came back to practice. There's so much things that happened today, and I'm finally home to talk about it. I wish I was live earlier when it was happening, but busy day, man. Keeping work keeps me busy, and unfortunately, couldn't be live and getting all that up earlier. But here we are. I'm glad to have you guys here. Appreciate everybody hopping in. Make sure you hit that like button, all that good stuff. But how is everybody doing today? We had a busy day in the news category because the 49ers came back to practice today. They're getting themselves ready, preparing. They got 2 days of practice this week, today and tomorrow. Then they rest for the weekend, and then they get back to preparation next week once they figure out who's that opponent, and they get to prepare for the division round of the playoffs. So good stuff today. Armstead back at practice. You love to hear it. You love to see it. That was excellent news. He officially was back at practice today. A couple of other players came back to practice today. Jair Brown, Jawan Jennings, Ambry Thomas. Huge, huge, huge returns for those guys. We needed to see the depth, and this bye week has become absolutely critical and crucial for the 49ers. People that didn't practice were Christian McCaffrey, but it's more precautionary. They said he's going to be back next week. Nothing to worry about. Dre Greenlaw also, I feel like it's just precautionary. Last week they held him out precautionary, and if there was a game this weekend, Dre Greenlaw is playing. Tashawn Gibson, again, they said about 7 to 10 day, rest period or rehab period in between because he has the quad strain. So he'll be back next week. And then John Feliciano and Clelin Ferrell. As we know, Clelin Ferrell is going to miss the division round of the playoffs most likely. But those guys are resting this week. We have the luxury of not having to play this week and getting that rest. So those guys will be back next week for the most part. Again, Clelin Ferrell probably is the only guy that's not going to be back. But Armstead, Jair Brown, Jawan Jennings, Ambry Thomas, all back. Love to see that. And that big news, again, was Armstead, man. That was huge. Other big news today, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Christian McCaffrey was named the NFC Offensive Player of the Month for the second time of the year. Holy moly. This man is just cooking. Christian McCaffrey, man, I cannot believe it. The accolades he's racked up this year are incredible. If he doesn't win at least the Offensive Player of the Year, that'll be a disgrace. He should um, be the Offensive Player of the Year at the very least. I don't think they'll give him MVP, but come on, man, this guy should definitely be the Offensive Player of the Year. This guy is incredible. Yeah, definitely deserved NFC Offensive Player of the Month. He had 675 scrimmage yards and 5 touchdowns in December. The guy was amazing. And speaking of amazing, we know how great of a season Christian McCaffrey's had, and he's won multiple NFL Air or FedEx Ground awards through the season. And today, him and Brock Purdy were both nominated as finalists for the NFL FedEx Air and Ground Player of the Year. Both of these guys have won that award multiple times. Brock Purdy's won, the FedEx Air Award several times. He's been nominated, and same with Christian McCaffrey. And now they've both become finalists for the NFL FedEx Player of the Year. That's crazy, dude. Like, both of those guys have just become uh, big time reasons why they won. They're both MVP candidates, and I'm gonna pull up. I want to see who else they're going up against. So just to tell you who. So Brock Purdy, right? NFL FedEx Air Player of the Year. He's going up against he's going up against Tua and Dak Prescott. So those are your three quarterbacks that were nominated for finalists for FedEx Air Player of the Year. Tua, Dak Prescott, and Brock Purdy. Even if he doesn't win, it's incredible to know that he's been up for all these awards, all this great, accolades in his second year, his first full year as quarterback. Man, you love to see it. And then Christian McCaffrey, he's going up against Raheem Mostert and Kyren Williams. Those are the three nominees. Christian McCaffrey, Raheem Mostert, and Kyren Williams are all nominated for the FedEx Ground Player of the Year. That's crazy. I think Christian McCaffrey will win this award, and I don't know if Brock's going to get it. He should. He should get it over Dak Prescott. He should get it over Tua. but the media, it's popularity cost. So right now, go vote. Go vote. Check it out on NFL.com. You can go click and vote for the FedEx Air Player of the Year. Dak Prescott, when I voted earlier, was leading at 51% of the votes. So let's go run those votes up for Brock Purdy. We'll go to NFL.com, vote all day. I'm going to do that later. Vote for him. I voted for him on that, but we'll vote some more. But it's crazy, man, to see all the accolades that we're racking up, man. Amazing. S. the Young says Brock got the most votes for the Pro Bowl. If he can get the most votes for the Pro Bowl, we can vote him to get this FedEx Air Player of the Year. Go vote, my boys. Let's go. Run it up. Let's get him up. Let's get him up there. So, yeah, that was definitely good news for the day. A lot of good news, right? So we had all the returns. We had all the hype from Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey getting nominated and Christian McCaffrey winning the NFC Player of the Month award. It's been a great day. But there's also a little bit of bad news going, depending on how you look at it. If you're a Niner fan, you don't like losing coaches because we lose coaches on a regular basis every single year. But that comes with being good. As we know, over the last couple of days, Steve Wilks has been getting looks from around the league. And not only Steve Wilks in the coaching rankings, but our front office, Adam Peters, assistant GM, has been getting, looks everywhere. So earlier this morning, according to Mike Garofalo, the Falcons requested permission to interview Steve Wilks for their head coaching job. So now he's been requested by the Falcons and the Chargers. Both of those guys, maybe they can grab him. And then Adam Peters, boom, the big news of the day. 49ers assistant GM Adam Peters is now a finalist for the Commanders' head of football operations position. So according to Jacina Anderson, the interview went well with the Commanders for Adam Peters, and it was a long interview, and it went into the evening, so it sounds like they had a great talk, and he sounds like he's the front runner. So this is also what Jacina Anderson said. She says Peters is well regarded around the league, with another source saying today he's a great human. We know he's a good guy, but Washington came off of that interview, and they love the guy. I think that Adam Peters, when it's all said and done, is going to leave the 49ers and go to Washington and start his next chapter in his career. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm absolutely wrong, but it does seem that he's the front runner, and I think Washington's going to get their guy. They have Bob Myers. We talked about him before over the last couple of days, and I think Bob Myers is going to persuade Adam Peters to stick around Washington. That's his boy. They're UCLA guys. I hate to say, man, I don't want to say that he's going to leave because I don't want him to leave. He's been instrumental in the 49ers draft process and front office from what we understand. But, it's a business. You got to get that bag, and this is a good opportunity for him. But I hope that he doesn't take it. He's denied a couple interviews and requests and jobs in the past. I hope he does the same this year. But again, you can't fault the guy if he takes up that opportunity. So we shall see. And then most recently, about a half an hour ago, the Bears, or this is news that happened about a half hour ago, the Bears plan to interview 49ers passing game coordinator Clint Kubiak for their offensive coordinator job. And this is according to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN. So again, the Bears want to interview 49ers passing game coordinator Clint Kubiak for their OC job. That's crazy, man. Every single coach is going to get poached from the 49ers at some point. Like Kyle Shanahan's coaching tree is insane, man. He loses coaches. Last year we lost Bobby Slowick, right? He went to D'Amico Ryans. He was the passing game coordinator. And now you had D'Amico Ryans leave. You had Robert Salah. You have Mike McDaniel. You have coach after coach after coach. We lost front office members, Rand Carthon. It's great to have such a good, staff. But when you do, everybody wants a piece of you. And that's what happens. The 49ers, they're going to lose coaches. And then they got to restock, retool. And Kyle Shanahan's coaching tree is going to get bigger and bigger and crazier and better. I don't know, man. It's wild. I'm sure Kyle will be able to find someone and replace someone. But the whole thing is you just have to keep on retooling, relearning. Guys have to be able to kind of get back in there and figure the scheme out and figure the system out. And there's a little bit of a learning curve. And that's what is amazing of the 49ers. If you really think about it, they've lost so many coaches, so many coordinators, so many front office members over the last couple of years with John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. And they're just balling out of control. They're the number one seed in the NFC. And they've lost coaches. They've had to hire new coaches. They've had to hire new coordinators. this just doesn't happen around the league. The 49ers are elite. They're a juggernaut team, and they don't get the respect they deserve. And Kyle Shanahan doesn't get the respect that he deserves. I know he hasn't won the big one. I know I guess you can say he's choked it away several times, but he's gotten so close, and his team around him is always great. Over the last couple of years now, he's finally put together the pieces. People copy him. Everybody wants to do his offense. Everybody wants to run the stupid motion plays that he does. And everybody wants to have a Debo Samuel on their team. Everybody tries to get the versatile, slot guy that could do running back and receiving. Everybody tries to copy Kyle Shanahan, and it's insane. But he gets so much disrespect in the league. Oh, because he hasn't won the big one. It took Andy Reid years to finally put it all together. Kyle Shanahan deserves his respect, man. The coaches on his staff have become coaches around the league. Look at his tree. Put some respect on Kyle, man. The Niners run the league. Absolutely run the league. So, yeah, depressed Niners fans says these coaches need to leave in order to chase their dreams. Got to make sacrifices sometimes, man. I agree. Again, I don't fault these guys. I want them to chase their dreams. It's great to see these guys take that next step in their career. I've done it myself. I left places and took a rehab director position. I've had employees of my own that I had, and they were like, "Look, man, I gotta leave." When I was a director, they were like, "I gotta leave. I got an awesome opportunity. I can't turn it down." And I wasn't gonna sit there and say, "No, you can't do it. Nope, you're too important to me. I can't leave you. I can't have you leave because then I don't want to replace you." Like, it's part of any job. It's the hardest thing to do, to let someone go and let them chase their dreams, because you're in a selfish way, you want to keep those people, and you're like, damn, it's gonna be hard to replace that person, especially if it's a really good employee or whatever the case is. Like in Kyle's situation, D'Amico was such a good defense coordinator. I'm sure it was tough for him to let him leave, but you can't strangle him and say you're not going to leave. This is Robert Salah, Mike McDaniel, all these guys. They were so good. They deserve to showcase themselves and get their own team. And that's the NFL. It's a business. It's going to be sad to see some of these guys lose, but the 49ers will bring somebody else in, and then we're going to love them. So that's just the way it goes. That Torin says, it sucks that we lose great coaches, but it's an opportunity to get fresh new looks and schemes. Yeah, and that's the other way to look at it is we're going to lose some people, but we get some new people. We're going to lose some people, but we get some new people. And sometimes they put a fresh perspective on things, and it keeps Kyle, a little bit fresh himself. I'm sure that after a while he gets a little stagnant, and having new perspective maybe opens his eyes a little. So definitely a good point. Young Mac, he says, where would Jimmy Garoppolo be next year? You think the Raiders let him go? What if Jimmy G didn't get overthrown to Sanders in the Super Bowl? I hate to even think about that. Play haunts me. I tried to forget it, and you brought it up. I'm sick to my stomach now. Honestly, I don't even know where Jimmy goes. He'll be a backup somewhere. I think the Raiders won't keep him. They pay him a lot to do nothing, and I think they're going to have a new regime. I don't think they're really tied to Jimmy. I think he'll try to find some place to maybe start. He says he wants to start, but I think he's got to earn it and be a backup somewhere, because this year at the Raiders, he didn't show much at all. So I don't know where he goes, but I don't think he'll be a starter anywhere unless somebody gets hurt. Oh, man. Christine, good question. Says, who do you believe, Kittle or Fred, about today's practice? So today there was an argument. It wasn't an argument. It was just like, they were going back and forth. Kittle said the offense won today's practice. Brandon Aiyuk said the offense won today's practice. And there was a conflicting report. Fred Warner said, no, the defense won today's practice. He said they had a good couple plays on offense. It's funny, but I honestly think that it doesn't matter who won, because it seems like they're really going out there and they're super, super focused. And I think that's the good thing of that whole interaction, the whole thing of, George Kittle saying, suck it, Fred, and the offense was better. And then Fred Warner saying, oh, yeah, the offensive guys are going to say that. Of course, defense won. That's all you need to know. My whole take on that was, dang, these guys are super competitive. These guys are ready for the playoffs. These guys are going out there. Iron sharpens iron. And it's good to see these guys, they have a bye week this week, but they're staying focused, because that could be a little tricky, right? You don't have a game to really prepare for. You're kind of like, whatever, go through the motions. But no, these guys are focused, locked in, and they want to win. They want to win on the practice field. So imagine if they want to win on the practice field, they want to go out there and dominate next week in the playoffs. But to answer the question, who do I think won? I'm not arguing with Fred Warner. If Fred Warner says that the defense won, I think the defense won. That's the way I look at it. Kittle, he likes to toot his horn if they won a few plays, but I think the defense probably got the better of the offense, if we're going to be honest. But I would have loved to have been there to see. So it's a good question. That's a great question. I just love that whole interaction. That was pretty funny to see that today on the press conferences. So my man David McNiner says, "What's good? Let's effing go Niners." What's good, David? How you feeling? Depressed Niner fan says he hit him with the suck it. He hit him with the suck it. He says, "Suck it, Fred." I love George Kittle. That guy is absolutely hilarious, man. Toron says Fred did sound like he was being legit. Fred, I'm not arguing with Fred. He was like, "Yeah, defense won." If we're gonna be keeping it honest, but you gotta love the you just gotta love how these guys go back and forth, and they bring out the best in each other. It's a competition, and they're still keeping themselves sharp going into the play. And that's what I love to see, that these guys are not like letting themselves be stagnant and not letting themselves kind of like lose the focus. Because again, it's easy to lose focus on a bye week, but they're staying sharp. They're really challenging each other. So what's good, Flood? What's good, Peter Parker? He says these boys practicing hard and rest up and come back fresh for those epic Super Bowl runs. And Fred talked about that today, and I'm so happy they got this bye week, because you got to realize these guys go out there 18 weeks, but and they're going out there playing so hard. They're playing incredibly hard. Okay, you get the bye week, right? And after that bye week, do you remember how good they came out of that bye week? Like, they exploded. They were just kicking teams in the mouth, right? They beat the Jaguars. They went on a big run, because remember, they had that losing streak and everybody wrote their season off. It's over. What draft pick are we going to get? First round draft pick. Oh my God, the Niners season's over. And then they went on a huge run. They didn't win. They didn't lose games, but it's because of that rest. And it got them chance to mentally kind of relax their body. Last week was kind of a bye week. Some players played, but I feel like this is a good time to mentally reset everything. And then they still practice, because they want to make sure the joints are working, the blood flow's flowing, making sure they don't get any injuries. And according to the 49ers players, as you know, and Javon Hargrave early in the week, 49ers practices are very intense compared to a lot of other teams in the league, Eagles specifically, according to Hargrave. But it's nice, because if they are practicing, they're not just like rubbing flowers on themselves. They're not just out there running around the daisies and, doing nothing and being lackadaisical. They're out there playing their ass off, because 49ers practice is very intense. I've been to 49er practices, in training camp and stuff, and that's the intensity. I just remember every year I go, I'm like, God damn, these guys are out there playing intense. I mean, I don't go to a lot of other training camps. I want to, but just seeing the Niners, I could tell that it's probably one of the more intense ones, just based on how it looks and what the players talk about, So, they get the rest, but they're going to stay focused. And then next week they go back to the lab and practice again. But the fact that they get this rest, the fact that they get to mentally just kind of reset is huge for everybody, because they've been working their asses off for weeks now. And this is nice for them to kind of get that a little bit of a breather. And then guess what? For the next 3-4 weeks, we are going all out attack mode. We're going to push our bodies to the absolute brink until it's over. So this break, this little breather, is absolutely much needed. And I'm so glad that they got that number 1 seed. So my man says, Raj, watch, another team is going to take our 49ers Frenchies, dog. That's funny, dude. Everybody takes our coaches. Can you imagine if they steal our 49ers Frenchie? Oh, man, no. You cannot steal the dog. Do not let them steal the 49ers Frenchie. Can you imagine? We got breaking news from Adam Schefter. The LA Rams have interviewed the 49ers Frenchie for their dog position in their locker room. I would freak out. Debo wouldn't allow it. We can't have that happen. We cannot let the 49ers Frenchie go to another team. Protect that dog at all costs. Come on, man. We ain't letting that happen. Randall says, seeing the impact last season with no Armstead versus a healthy Armstead back is huge. Not mentioned a lot, but such a big factor. Yeah, he's been absolutely lights out in the playoffs. Armstead, he plays good the whole season, but you could really see when he's in the playoffs, it's like a different mindset. I remember a couple years back, Packers game, 2 sacks on Aaron Rodgers. He was one of the keys to winning that game. It was a defensive battle. You remember the block, right? The block punt, and then the scoop and score by Hufanga. Like that whole situation was epic, but it was the defense that kept the 49ers in that nasty game, and Armstead was among the reasons they won that game. And in the playoffs, Armstead takes it up to another notch. I'm so happy that Armstead's back, and this run defense absolutely missed this man. So 3 games. Armstead, suck it up, man. I know your foot's in a lot of pain, but suck it up. Let's make these 3 games last, and then in the off season, whatever you got to do that foot, I don't care. We need you for the Super Bowl, and I'm happy that he's back. So, Jalen, let's talk about Aiyuk, right? Aiyuk was talking about a couple things today. So they asked Brandon Aiyuk, how do you? I think it was Cam Inman actually that asked him this question, and they asked him about it was a career season from him. Is he going to cash in from this season? And Brandon Aiyuk says, my agent keeps calling me, but I haven't talked to him yet. He says, my agent keeps calling me, but I haven't talked to him yet. He's not worried about the money yet. He's staying focused because he wants to go and win the Super Bowl. I love that mentality. He's going to tell the agent, yo, talk to me in 2 months. Talk to me nicely after I dominate in the playoffs. And that's smart. He had a heck of a season. Now the playoffs come. If he comes out and has a generational playoff run, pay that man the money. Pay the cheddar. So I love to hear that. I think the 49ers are going to have to pay him this offseason. Well, they will pay him, but it's going to be a lot of money. The better he does in the playoffs, the better his pocketbook's going to be. So I like that focus for Brandon, that he's not worried about the money yet. He will be. But he is absolutely locked in for the playoffs. You got to love it. And then the bar of the day, though, his quote that he said about being a Pro Bowl snub, he says, look, it was tough at first. He says it was tough at first, but we'll see. Pretty much every one of those guys at one point has to come through San Francisco. So he says all the guys that were better, that got voted over me, Puka Nacua, A.J. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, good players, don't get me wrong. All of them are great. He says all of those players at some point got to come through San Francisco. That's a bar. So he says, so it's all good. It's all good, baby boy. Woo-hoo-hoo. All those receivers got to come through San Francisco. Brendan Aiyuk's not worried. He's going to prove every single one of those guys. If they have to play Puka, if they got to play CeeDee Lamb, if they got to play A.J. Brown, he's going to do better than every single one of those guys. That's what he's telling you. He says, okay, you pick A.J. Brown over me. If we play him straight up, head-to-head, I'm going to be better. CeeDee Lamb, line it up. I'm going to be better. Puka, I'm going to be better. I love the confidence. Absolutely love Brandon Aiyuk, man. This guy is so locked in for the playoffs, man. I think he's about to have a Linsanity run for the playoffs. I think he's going to go on a generational type run in the playoffs. I don't know. I just have this feeling that Brandon Aiyuk, he's going to go crazy because, again, he knows he's going to get paid this offseason. The better he does in the playoffs, the better his contract's going to be, because people are going to look at what he did last before, contract signing. And if his last thing he does is go wild in the playoffs, that's going to be right in everybody's dome. And he's going to get paid because of it. I'm ready for it. Brandon Aiyuk's going to go crazy. And you know what? If I'm Debo and I'm Kittle, I'm already paid. You know that. I know Debo's going to play good. I think he's going to have a good playoff run, but I think Debo in the back of his mind's like, I got BA wants to get paid, huh? I'm going to make sure he gets a few extra passes that I could have gotten, that maybe I could have gotten. But I'm going to make sure BA does his thing. I guarantee you that Debo is going to do everything in his power to make sure BA gets the ball where he needs to be. And he's going to block his ass off for BA. I think these guys are going to go crazy together. It's going to be a fun run. And I think BA is going to go wild in the playoffs, man. So, my man 49ers Throwback was good. He says, smash that like button. Faithful subscribe. Hit that like button. Thanks for reminding everybody. Make sure you hit that like button, baby. We got 70 people watching. Make sure you hit 7. I need 70 likes right now. on this chat. So John says Aiyuk is still 1,000-yard receiver with less targets. And that's the crazy thing is, if you look at how efficient Brandon Aiyuk is, he's not even in the top 10 to 15 in receptions or targets. Yet he's got 1,300 yards receiving. It's astronomically crazy how efficient he is. He's got the second most yards per catch in the NFL. Like, this guy is a big play waiting to happen. He gets the yak plays. He can go over the middle. Like, everything he does is just so refined. He's so good over the middle in open space. He can hit the perimeter. The route running is impeccable. So Brandon Aiyuk, man, imagine if he was on the Dolphins, on the Bills, on a team that throws the ball at a high clip. This man would probably break Calvin Johnson's record. I'm not just saying that because I love Brandon Aiyuk. This guy could probably get 2K receiving yards because he's so efficient. He doesn't even lead the league. He's nowhere near the league lead in receptions. And he's cooking your favorite receiver out there. It's crazy. Brandon is the fourth option, like he said before, and he's still dominating. That's the crazy thing. I think he probably went up this year. I wouldn't say he's the fourth option this year, but it's still pretty close. I mean, maybe, because Debo, man, some games it's just like the Debo show. Christian McCaffrey, he's definitely option number one. And then Kittle, some days he's the big option. I would say that Aiyuk's maybe the third option this year. I say Kittle's maybe the fourth at this point. I think Kittle used to be, third option. He used to be number one option. But I think over the years, Kittle's kind of become that fourth option. But, I mean, still 1,000-yard receiver for Kittle. This whole offense is wild. They got Kittle, the only tight end to hit 1,000 yards receiving this year. Should have been an NFLPA All-Pro. But, again, it doesn't matter. He'll probably get the real All-Pro next week when they have the real All-Pro come out. The one that was out yesterday, because I know a lot of people are sick in the comments. He didn't get named All-Pro. That was the NFLPA as voted by the players, okay? So this is the second annual. It's not the real All-Pro award. The All-Pro is different. This is the NFLPA. It still matters. It's still something. It's still an accolade because it's your peers, just the players voting for each other. But it's basically who they respect the most. And everybody's going to give it to Travis Kelce Travis Kelce. Oh, it's Kelce. He's been the best tight end. So they don't want to just piss him off. But we all know George Kittle was better than Kelce this year. But it's a whole nother story for another game, for another day. But I think Kittle will get the actual All-Pro honors when they announce him, I believe, next week. So, my man, depressed Niners fan says, who do I have for that Browns-Texans game? Oh, man, we talked about this the other day. We did our breakdowns. I want to pick the Texans so bad. You don't understand how bad I want to pick D'Amico and CJ Stroud. But if I got to be honest, I think the Browns are going to win. That defense is just different. And I don't think the Texans are going to be able to get past that defense. I think CJ Stroud has had a fantastic year. Nico Collins is great. I think losing Tank Dell is going to really hurt them. And again, they got a great defense over there in Cleveland. They're playing at a high level. And Joe Flacco, man, hell of a story. He's been in the playoffs before. He's a veteran. I think that's going to be the difference. Flacco's the veteran, an elite game manager. And I think CJ Stroud, this is his first big playoff game. This is his first playoff game. And I think that, there's going to be a lot of pressure on him. And if they lose, it's nothing to hold your head down on. He better hold his head up high because CJ Stroud and those Texans are going to be good for a long time. Good young team. But if I got to choose a team, I'm taking the Browns. I hope I'm wrong, though. I like the Texans, man. I want to see them win. So, but, CJ Stroud, man, he's going to be a fantastic player throughout his career, man. But I think that the Browns defense is just going to be a little too much, man. So CJ Stroud he definitely is looking awesome, Randall. His last game was a playoff game. That's true. If you really think about it, that was a playoff type game. But again, I just got the Browns. They got too many heavy hitters on that defense. But again, I hope I'm wrong, man. I like CJ Stroud. He's been a baller. So Torrance says the Browns defense will give this injured Texans offense problems, but Flacco turned the ball over too much. He does turn the ball over. So Torrance says Nakua or Stroud Rookie of the Year. I'm going to go CJ Stroud, man. This is a quarterback he was at one point of the season, CJ Stroud was in the MVP conversation, whether you want to believe it or not. He was. And again, first year quarterback doing what he's doing, leading this team to the AFC South Division Championship under a rookie head coach. I mean, these things don't happen all the time. This is a generational player. CJ Stroud, man, I got a lot of respect for this young man. He's awesome, man. I got a lot of love for this guy. I think he's going to be a good player, a great player, really, an elite top 5 quarterback. Top 3 maybe in a couple of years. So definitely got to give the edge to CJ Stroud for the rookie of the year. But hey, Puka is going to be a good player too. Unbelievable rookie season. This guy, when Cooper Kupp was hurt beginning of the season, I mean, this guy came out and everyone's like, holy smokes. And then, Cooper came back and they're okay, he's going to fade out. No, he didn't fade out. Puka had a heck of a season. It's easy to root for this guy. Just a good, humble young man, and I think he's got a bright future ahead of him too. So, 2 great rookies, man. Jose says, who would you rather have in the divisional round? Yeah, we talked about this the other day. I would love to see the Packers because that means the Cowboys lost. But they're underrated team. I definitely think they're an underrated team, but I just don't think that they're going to walk into Dallas and beat them. Who do you guys think is going to win this weekend, Wild Card weekend? And I don't know. I've been asking you guys that a couple of weeks or a couple of times this week. What do you guys ultimately think is going to happen in Wild Card weekend? Susan says, I'm honestly so sick of hearing about Puka. We won't bring him up for a while unless we play him. Yeah, CJ and Love both playing awesome. They're both playing good. Fun to watch, absolutely. My man 49ers Throwback says, Kyle and Purdy are going to own the West for a long time. Pete Carroll, not the head coach, but an advisor. Yeah, that was shocking news yesterday. Pete Carroll, not the head coach anymore. And you know what? There's been a lot of coaching changes, as we talked about earlier with, Steve Wilkes getting some interviews, Clint Kubiak getting some interviews. Like, there's going to be a lot of coaching changes. Maybe somebody from the 49ers will take a head coach job. There's a lot of coaching changes. Today, the legendary Bill Belichick stepped away from the Patriots. He's done. That's crazy to me. And Nick Saban yesterday, the most legendary college coach of my time, at least, I can't believe in 24 hours, 2 of the greatest coaches of all time are done coaching for now. We'll see what happens with their next chapters. But that is wild to me that Bill Belichick and Nick Saban are both done, man. Both of these guys used to coach on the Browns a long time back, young Bucks, and they both became the most legendary coaches. 2 hell of coaches, man. These guys were amazing. 2 great storied careers. Respect to both of them. And yeah, all I can say is wow. I couldn't believe it. Mario says, so much for having the first. We're going to have to face the Rams and Dallas. I mean, that's the playoffs. You got to face tough teams. I mean, at the end of the day, Super Bowl is not easy. That's the playoffs. You got to play tough teams. And, the 49ers are the toughest. You know what? The way I look at it, though, Mario, we don't have to play Dallas. We don't have to play the Rams. They got to play us, man. They got to come to Levi Stadium. It goes through the playoffs go through Levi's. That's what you got to realize is who cares who we got to play? They got to come down to Levi Stadium. They got to travel. They got to make the road trip. The 49ers have the rest. They have they're the favorites. They got everything going for them. It doesn't matter we're playing the Rams. They're playing us. It doesn't matter we play the Cowboys. They're playing us. Last time I checked, Dallas Cowboys aren't good away from AT&T Stadium. So that's the way I look at it. I don't care who we play. I'm worried about making sure they stay healthy because if the 49ers stay healthy, none of these teams are beating the 49ers. They have to play us. Remember that. We don't play them. They are playing the 49ers. That's what you got to ingrain that in your head. Cares who we play. They have to play the 49ers. They need to fear the 49ers, not the other way around. Don't fear these teams. 49ers cooked them all. They beat them all. They beat the Rams. They beat the Cowboys. They beat the Eagles. They beat the Buccaneers. I beat every single one of those teams. That's it. The only team they didn't play was Green Bay. They would have beat them too. They beat every single one of these teams that they might play next week. That's it. Bottom line. The only 2 teams we didn't play was Detroit and Green Bay because we didn't play that division. So, that's right. Got to have that dog mentality, baby. can't be worried about another team. They got to worry about the San Francisco first seed motherfucking 49ers. That's it. Bottom line. That's it. Bottom line. That's right, Raymond. Teams should be afraid of us. That's the way I see it, man. 49ers have CMC, Kittle, Brandon Aiyuk, Trent Williams, Deebo Samuel, Brock Purdy. They got Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, Charvarius Ward, Nick Bosa, Chase Young, Arik Armstead, Javon Hargrave, Deommodore Lenoir. Sheesh. What a squad, man. Sheesh. My man Motor says, I can't remember the last time a team truly beat us. We beat ourselves when we lost the last couple of years. You know, honestly, you're right. The 49ers are the only team that stands in their way. It's themselves. It's really themselves. Injuries, mistakes, turnovers, you know, bad play calling, whatever the case, poor execution, penalties, turnovers, all those issues. It's the 49ers that usually beat themselves up. Kyle messes up, calls some bad plays. There's a silly turnover. You overshot fucking Emmanuel Sanders. You make my head spin when you do that. You make some bad mistakes, some piss pass throws. You fumbled the ball. Kyle Williams, stop it. You know, the 49ers usually trip over their own feet in big games. This year, that's not going to happen, I hope. Because if they can execute, play at the level that they need to play, and play their football, their brand of football, and impose their will and be the bullies that they can be, go out there for 3 hours every Sunday or whatever day they play and just execute at the highest level and be the better team on the field, there's no way that they're going to lose these games. It's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be hard. Playoffs are not easy. But I think the 49ers can outlast any single team. They got 3 games to do it because it's easy to beat the 49ers in 1 quarter, 2 quarters, maybe 3. But if you try, that's the thing. The 49ers wear you down, and it's so hard to beat the 49ers in 4 quarters. If they play their game, they'll run you over, they'll hit you in the mouth, and they'll spit you out. And that's what they do. Rinse, lather, repeat on a weekly basis. This team is dangerous, man. My man Bomber says Purdy's about to cut some teams up. Purdy's going to go crazy, man. I think Brock Purdy's about to go on another crazy run. I think the rest has done him well. We saw what happened last time when after the bye week, man, these Niners were on another level. Like they just were absolutely on another level. It was amazing to see. Brock Purdy went on a crazy run. And I think he's going to do it again. They got 3 games to go. That's right, my man Keith Murphy. This is our year. We got a collab. I told you, hit me up, man. We'll figure something out. If you messaged me today, I didn't check it. I've been working all day. I barely got home about 40 minutes ago before I started the stream. So, but yeah, definitely this is our year, my guy. I could feel it in our bones, man. It just seems like this is the year. And before the year's up, we definitely got to talk about this team together, man. I'd be hyped up. Every day is a great day for 49ers content right now. And every day is just exciting as we lead up to the Super Bowl. I think we got pretty much a month. We officially have a month left to the Super Bowl, man. And I think the 49ers are going to be there. Yeah, this defense is scary, fast when fully healthy. Randall says the Niners broke the Eagles, then they broke the Jags. The Niners broke a lot of teams. I think this team is going to go crazy. There's a good question. This was it. Flood, my man, this is a good question. He says, who can be a surprise breakout hero during the playoff? Ooh, that's a good question. Maybe I should post this on Twitter or Instagram tomorrow. I'll post this as who will be the 49ers breakout hero? Something like that. That's a good one. Maybe we'll post it on the community tab and see what you guys think. That's a great question. But what do you guys think? Who's going to be the breakout hero for the 49ers? Who's going to be the breakout hero in the playoffs? Like, we know CMC is going to do his thing. We know Kittle. We know Brandon Aiyuk, Deebo. But who's the guy we're not thinking about? That's a good question. And breakout hero, honestly, offensively, I think Juwan Jennings is going to be that hero. I think on offense, Juwan Jennings has been waiting in the wings. He's been sitting there. He had this concussion. He hasn't played in a long time. I think people forgot. Juwan Jennings is cash money on third down, big-time playmaker. I think this guy's ready to explode. And yeah, my man Keith Murphy says it's going to be Juwan Jennings. He says the breakout hero, Juwan Jennings. I agree with you 100%. This guy, you got to remember, he's also in a contract season. Again, these guys that are fighting for a contract, they want to have a big season in the playoffs. I think Juwan Jennings is going to have some big games for us. I absolutely think so. That's a good question. And my man Keith Murphy also says Brock Purdy's about to go ham. Message me on Twitter, RSF49ers. Just message me through that, my man. But I definitely think that Brock Purdy is going to go ham on it. On defense, my breakout hero on defense, I'm going to tell you, I think it's going to be Diamador Lenore. Lenore, baby. Oh, my God. Keith Murphy is reading my mind here. Look at this. Shout out to my boy, Keith Murphy. Thanks for all the super chats. He says it's going to be Lenore. I say it's going to be Lenore. Do you guys remember what Diamador Lenore did in the playoffs last year? Playoff Lenore activated. He's coming, baby. He's about to get some picks in these playoff games. I'm telling you, it's going to be Diamador Lenore. I said it last year, and I'm going to say it this year. Diamador Lenore is going to be the big-time key player in these playoffs. Teams are going to have to throw. They're going to have to throw to Diamador Lenore. They're not going to want to throw to All-Pro Mooney Ward. So Diamador Lenore is going to be right there. Boom, interception. Boom, interception. It's Diamador Lenore, ladies and gentlemen. Jake Moody. Ooh, that'd be fun to see him be the hero. Can you imagine Jake Moody kicks a game-winning field goal in one of these games? We are going to hype that man up. We're going to put the music. We're going to put the Titanic music. It's going to be wild for sure if he hits a game-winning field goal. But my two breakouts are Juwan Jennings and Diamador Lenore, and Keith Murphy. He agrees with me. I like that. I like it. My man, appreciate all the super chats. I agree with you. Lenore, Juwan Jennings, they about to be the heroes of the 49ers playoff run. So, Greenlaw. He says we're on the same page. Greenlaw. Yeah, I think Greenlaw is definitely a guy to keep an eye on the playoffs. People forget about Dre Greenlaw. It's crazy, man. You know, last week when the Pro Bowlers were named and Fred Warner was sitting there, he was talking about how Dre Greenlaw just gets overlooked. And it's crazy because if Dre Greenlaw was on any other team, not the 49ers, he'd be a linebacker one. He'd probably be any team's top linebacker, one of their top defenders. And it's crazy because the 49ers have two fantastic linebackers, Dre and Fred Warner. And Dre gets overlooked. And I think the league also has it out for Dre. As we know, he gets a lot of penalties, a lot of unsportsmanlike kind of penalties and flags. You know, he's vicious, man. He's aggressive. And I think the league doesn't like that. They frown down upon him. So that's another reason why Dre kind of gets overlooked. The media doesn't want to paint his picture rosy because of the fact of he's kind of that aggressive player, and they don't like that. He's like the Draymond Green of the 49ers. We talked about it. But, man, Dre Greenlaw is an absolute dog, man. I love this guy, and I think he's going to have a great run. I think that we got so many players, man. You know what I mean? So Chase Young, a lot of people. Deb says Chase Young. I saw a lot of people in the comments saying Chase Young. This is it. This is his time to shine. They've kind of kept him under wraps. He's been kind of, playing a little bit here and there. He doesn't get a lot of snaps in the games. They've been rotating him, but I think they've been just trying to keep him fresh and healthy for the playoffs. And, again, he's also trying to get some money this offseason. Contract year for Chase Young, whether he stays with the 49ers or not, that's going to be determined. But I think that, Chase Young might be a guy that can step up and go ham because he kind of had a quiet season with the 49ers. It wasn't like this whole explosive, oh, my God, Chase Young getting sacks every week. But he did help out Bosa. You could tell, like, Bosa's impact increased, his mentality increased, his happiness increased. We all know that. Bosa's attitude looked a lot better second half of the season with Chase Young. Like, he was happy. He was out there being Nick Bosa again. So I think in terms of overall impact, Chase Young did have a good impact. It just wasn't on the stat sheet. But I think you guys are right. I think Chase Young will be a guy that comes into this playoff and he goes wild. I think he will go and have a good second postseason run. I agree. I like that. I like that guy. I think you guys are all right. There's so many. Look at all these guys. You guys are naming, Randy Gregory, Debo, B.A., Mooney. There's just so many good players on this team. And that's why I'm saying, like, who the heck's beating this team? And, of course, Christine Workman says Aiyuk Armstead. How can we forget about Aiyuk Armstead? So happy he's back. This guy is going to be the X factor. We heard what Dante Whitner said the other day. He said he's going to be the X factor for the 49ers to get that Lombardi. And I agree with this guy. His presence will be the key for the 49ers. Hoisting up that Lombardi and Kyle Shanahan saying, who's got it better than us? I hope he says it. We talked about this with Larry Krueger the other night. I swear, if Kyle Shanahan drops a who's got it better than us, I'll love that man for the rest of my life. Bomber says Moody will redeem himself. I think he will. I really do. I cannot wait to see the redemption of Jake Moody and for everybody to switch up on him. I want to see the switch up. It's going to be great. I cannot wait to see everybody. Oh, Jake Moody. Oh my God. The greatest draft pick. Oh, my God. I'm so happy they drafted. If he hits a game-winning field goal or a clutch field goal in these playoffs, the switch up is going to be generational, and I can't wait for it. But if he misses, he better deactivate his social media because y'all are going to come for his neck. Oh, man. Let's take a couple more questions and we'll bounce out. Appreciate you guys for hopping in tonight. Make sure you hit that like button. This was a fun stream tonight. A lot of news happened, so it was good to talk about it all with you guys. Again, appreciate the support. Make sure you hit that like button. And always appreciative of any super chats and everything. And thank you again for sending all those my way tonight. Good stuff for you. Thank you, Keith Murphy, once again, for all the super chats. But definitely hit me up on Twitter, man, RSF49ers, and we can figure out a time to kind of collab, go live together or something. Oh, this is a good question. So we'll talk about Elijah Mitchell before we head out. He says, Jalen says, how do we feel about Elijah Mitchell and his return the past few games? I was so happy for Elijah Mitchell, actually. This is a guy that has battled so many injuries over the last couple of years, and it sucks because he's good. You can see it on the field. Kyle loves the guy. He trusts him. That's his man crush out of all the running backs. So I remember a couple of weeks ago, Grant Cohn, why isn't Jordan Mason getting any carries? He's leading the team with 6.2 yards per carry. And Kyle's just like, well, he's the third running back. What do you want me to do? Elijah Mitchell's a running back too. He got mad because he loves Elijah Mitchell, but Elijah Mitchell just can never see the field because he gets hurt. But to see Elijah Mitchell playing well and really stepping up for Christian McCaffrey over the last 2 weeks and getting touchdowns, he got the 2 touchdowns over the last 2 weeks. It was nice, man. It was refreshing to see that. And I was happy for him. Yeah, I was definitely happy for Elijah. I hope he can continue it. I hope he can stay healthy because that's definitely been his downfall over the last couple of years. This guy, you got to remember, a couple of years back, this man comes on to the Niners and he sets the franchise rookie record for rushing yards. That was crazy. Late round pick. This guy comes in and he pretty much sets a record for the 49ers. And it was like, I remember sitting there after that year going, this guy's going to be special. This guy's going to be the next big running back for the 49ers. I was like, wow, we haven't had a guy this good since Frank Gore. And then the injuries piled up, mounted up. So to see him having good success over the last couple of weeks was very, very refreshing. And it was a good sight to see, in my opinion. Yeah, I liked it. It was nice to see Elijah Mitchell shining, man. And you could tell, I think Kyle liked it because that's his guy, man. That's his guy. He loves running backs. So Raymond says, I'm surprised Mitchell wasn't in the injury list after last week's. Honestly, I was too. I'm not even going to be lying. It's not even hate or anything. I was too. I expected to be nursing a knee sprain or something. But, he came out of these last 2 games pretty well. No injuries. So it's definitely good to hear. And I think this extra week of practice layoff, the bye week, and, 2 days practice and resting for the most part during the rest of the week is going to be good for a guy like Mitchell. He definitely needs to take a little toll off of his body because he's been playing hard. And, he does have the tendency to get hurt over the last couple of years. So it was definitely surprising not to see him on the injury list. But it's nice that he had this week to kind of lay low and rest. So definitely good stuff. Oh, man, Peter Parker says Mitchell and CMC both going to have fresh legs. And then Mason going to be out there killing people inside. And, again, that's a huge point to make for the 49ers heading into the playoffs. They get rest. CMC gets to rest. CMC gets to rest. He didn't play last week. He gets to rest this week. He gets to rest. And that is beautiful knowing that because this guy off of 2 weeks rest is going to be just crazy. Going to be crazy. And then, yeah, Elijah Mitchell and CMC, now that he has Elijah Mitchell, it's going to help him out, keep the legs a little bit more fresh if Elijah Mitchell gets in there more like he has been. And then, yeah, Jordan Mason, they give him a few carries. These teams are going to be scared playing the Niners. And, to one thing I got to think about, because we sat here, we pounded at the table. We've been like, play Jordan Mason, play Jordan Mason, play Jordan Mason. We've been screaming at Kyle, but guess what? I think he's smart for not playing Jordan Mason as much as he did because you know what? Jordan Mason has some fresh, you want to talk about fresh legs for the playoffs. Jordan Mason's legs are going to be so fresh. It's going to be like raw chicken fresh. Like, that's crazy. And that's something that people aren't even like thinking about. I was like, when I was thinking about it the other day, I was, you know what? Kyle hasn't even used Jordan Mason that much. Maybe he was saving him. Maybe he was stashing him, and he's about to go crazy in the playoffs. So we want to go back to Breakout Star, right? We were talking about Breakout Star. Don't sleep on Jordan Mason. This man's legs are super fresh. Fresher than a daisy, guys. Yeah, he don't have them tired legs like Jared McKinnon had. Oh, tired legs McKinnon. Jordan Mason's legs are fresh. The league don't remember. Some of y'all don't think about that. Fresh legs, Jordan Mason, he can go on a crazy run in the playoffs. So Kyle Shanahan, smart guy. He's thinking ahead. He's thinking way ahead. That's chess. While everybody else is playing backgammon. This man is a genius. I'll tell you that much. Jordan Mason's legs fresh. Whoo-wee! Love to hear it. Love to see it. Whoo! Yeah, he does like to play chess, Christine. But anyways, that's just my thought on it. It's a good question. Random and OT, but I'm in California and it's 46 degrees out and I'm literally freezing. How are people going to go to the KC game? 30 below? Yeah, I couldn't do it. I get cold in that 40-degree weather too. I live out here in California. 46 degrees, I'm freezing. Half the time I'm in a hoodie in my house. So how are you going to play in that 30-degree weather? I remember going to the Michigan Ohio State game a couple years back, and I was literally shivering in my bones. I had layers on layers. I wouldn't go to that Kansas City game. It's crazy. Yeah, good. This is a good point, Peter Parker. Late in the season, a lot of these teams are worn down. Imagine Jordan Mason and his fresh legs coming at you late in the fourth. Kyle Shanahan, smart. That's crazy. Zemo, this will be the last comment of the night. He says, if you had told me early this season that we'd be trotting out Chase Young, Gregory, and Hargrave alongside Bosa on defense and CMC on offensive side of the ball, I'd ask you, how did we not win the Super Bowl? Yeah, again, this team is too talented not to put it all together and win a Super Bowl. I will be sick. I will be sad. I won't be mad if we lose. I'll be sick, man. I'll be sad because there's just the talent on this team is unbelievable. I want to see them go on this run. I'm ready. I'm ready to see them win this trophy. Cosmo says, I'm glad the Niners are handling the off week as a work week. And me too. Again, this is why I don't think Brock Purdy was worried. He knew they were going to have a good, strong week of practice this week and next week. And, Kyle, his practices are tough. So he's going to make sure everybody's prepped and ready to roll. And good stuff. Y'all have a good rest of your night. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. I will see you later this week, probably tomorrow. I do have a show with Aaron. We were supposed to do it tonight, but we moved it to tomorrow. And you guys have a good rest of your night. Appreciate you. Make sure you hit that like button. Keep the faith. Have a good wild card weekend. Enjoy. Because guess what? We get to find out who we get to play this weekend. I'm hyped up. I'm ready for it. Again, you guys have a good rest of your night. Stay blessed. Stay safe. Bang, bang. Niner gang. Appreciate y'all.